Dare to walk this path with me? One misstep, and we fall to our ruin. So take your first step. It's now or never!
What's up, YouTube? It's RS Mario here, bringing you another Fire Emblem Three Houses video. Alright, so a while back I made a video about top 8 classes I wanted to see return to Fire Emblem Three Houses. You can check that video out in the card above me or in the description below. So I wanted to make another video about top 6 new classes I wanted to come to Fire Emblem Three Houses. So these classes are not confirmed. They're not in the game. I just made these up, like just kind of spitballing ideas one day, and I decided to make a whole video about it. Now I couldn't really come up with 6 classes, or full 8, like I normally do. So I did 6 because I wanted them to be kind of like fleshed out and kind of interesting. So let go.
The hunter lays a trap for his prey. Hold still.
So the first one being the Trapper. So the Trapper is essentially essentially a class that is kind of self-explanatory. They basically, set up traps and various things around the map. You can have them set up a ballista. You can have them set up a trap for an ambush. You can have them set up a wall. That way you can kind of funnel people. It's kind of an interesting class that we've never seen before. And I mean, how it worked would be basically he would his abilities would be the different things he could set up. So like once he hits a specific level, he'll be able to set up ballistas. Once he hits a specific level, he'll be able to set up walls, And his abilities will basically be the various things he can set up. I don't know if I'd give him more than 3 abilities, like, in his class. Because that would be pretty interesting. Like, he had like 8 abilities or something, and you could swap them out depending on the map. That would be pretty interesting. Of course, he would use probably swords or arrows, swords or bows. That would be his like regular weapon. But essentially, he's a trapper. And the other thing is he would have the ability capture. So it's not like Fates where, oh look, the sexy mage lady can capture people with sexiness. I never understood that. Like, I love Obero, but I never understood why she had the capture ability when you've got like the big, diesel chick with the club who could totally capture people. So the Mimic Mage. So this one was an interesting one because I thought of this one from the last video. In the last video, the returning Fire Emblem classes, I mentioned the Mimic, and it was a class from an older Fire Emblem game. But what I didn't know was in that game, there's a reason specifically why only one person can do this class in that game. And it's a situation tied to that character. So I didn't know it wasn't a class that just anybody could use. So I was thinking of how could we make something that cool that anybody could use it. So I was thinking magic, of course. If the mimicry was based around magic, pretty much anybody would be, magic user would be able to use it. That way it can be a class for anybody to use. So basically the way this would work is you would have mimicry tomes. So these tomes would be basically just used for mimicry magic. They're not going to be offensive magic. This class will not have any offensive magic because their magic is basically being able to transform into other classes and other people. So you'll have one tome that'll allow you to transform into the lower classes like a thief, mage, white mage, stuff like that. Maybe another tome will, for the more powerful classes like troubadours and dark mages and things like that, and that way he would have multiple tomes. There will be one tome specifically for transforming into other people on your side, which will be interesting too. Since this is predominantly for the enemy, you transform into the enemy. So the only thing is special classes like bosses, special powerful beasts, or like the Lord characters, you won't be able to transform into them, but you'll be able to transform into just about anything else. So I think that would be pretty cool. And as far as like his offensive abilities, this class will be kind of like, from abilities and stats, he'll be a step above the thief. So it'll have like, you know, a little bit more than a regular thief as far as stat wise. And it will use knives. So knives is something that kind of introduced, well, there is introduced in Fates. You know, they're like similar to throwing stars. That'll be the weapon of choice for this class. So if for whatever reason you can't transform into anybody, you'll be able to stab them all Assassin's Creed like, and just hope you don't die.
Crown serve me well, but now by the gods of sea and sky, make way for Tortuga!
The pirate. So the pirate is an interesting one because it's a pirate. Like who wouldn't want to be a pirate? So the pirate class basically kind of goes like this. It introduces another weapon, you know, into the game. Now, I'm not really a big fan of guns in my fantasy games. To me, guns kind of represent a bit of modernism that I just don't like in fantasy games. But I will allow flintlock pistols. So the pirate will basically be the only class being able to use the flintlock pistol and a sword. Of course, the flintlock pistol will fall in the same class with bows. But the thing is, it has a chance of inflicting bleeding damage. So basically, you can wound somebody, and it would inflict damage over a bit of damage over time until it stops because the person's bleeding because you just shot them. So that's a pretty interesting one. The pirate will be another option for the thief class to go to once it's done being a thief. So it'll be more powerful than the thief class. It'll also be able to use swords instead of knives. But yeah, this class should be pretty cool. The Dragoon. So I think this is one of my favorite ones. I did steal the name from Final Fantasy Tactics because I couldn't come up with a different name for it. But the Dragoon is basically going to be a hybrid sword and spear user. And basically, what they do is they can do elemental damage, but it's all based on the strength stat and not the magic stat. Because that's one thing, like, you can give, like, your trusty berserker axe user dude, like, the lightning axe, which is fine, but those attacks are magic attacks, and they come off his magic stat, if I'm not mistaken. And so it kind of sucks because most of those physical weapon users have garbage magic stats, so because this is not what their class is for. I mean, but if you just want a ranged attack on him and say you don't have enough throwing axes, then that's the case. But the Dragoon changes that a little bit. He can use elemental attack. He can basically embed elemental magic into his weapons, so they are based on his strength, not his magic stat, which is pretty cool. Also, he'll be getting abilities that kind of correspond with that. So at a specific level, he'll get the ice ability, which basically once he uses ice attacks, you know, with his weapons, it has a chance of freezing the opponent. But also it also has a chance to reduce your movement by one for 2 turns. So there's going to be strengths and weaknesses to these attacks. Because, I mean, it's an ice attack, so it's going to be cold. It slows you down. It could slow you down, or it could slow the opponent down. So this was another cool one, the Monk. So this will be a different type of class because it won't use any weapons. Now, you can use spears with this class, similar to the Monk from Fates, but the big benefit of this class is not using any weapons at all. It is a hand-to-hand fighter, you know, all the way. Now, that will be pretty cool. I'm not quite sure what his abilities would do. I'm thinking they should be centered around his physical strength, but I think having a class that benefits from not using weapons would be interesting.
Summoning jutsu. Reanimation.
This is...
The Necromancer. So this one, if the Dragoon isn't my favorite, this one will probably be my favorite one. Because I can see some crazy strategies being used with the Necromancer. And basically what you would do is, he's basically kind of like a mage, but he has like no offensive magic, essentially. Kind of like the Mimic Mage. So basically what he does is, if he gets the killing blow on an enemy unit, he can bring that unit back as a thrall that you can control. So you'll have the abilities and all the stats of that unit, because that unit is yours until the end of the game, or until the end of that the battle, you know, which is interesting. You know, of course we have to limit this to 2 thralls per game, because I mean, you don't want him to have, like, you know, hella thralls, especially in a match where there's lots and lots of people to fight. But yeah, that will be pretty interesting. And of course, the way his abilities will work is he will get the ability Necromancer, and with that ability, he can bring back just about any enemy, with the exception of bosses. So the drawback to this will be his defenses will be relatively weak. So you need to kind of like keep him protected, you know, but you still need him to get that final blow in, though. The other thing is, his necromancy won't be based off of, well, you'll get 1 tome that allow you to bring back, you know, people to use your necromancy. But the real thing is, depending on how powerful that unit is, depends on how much HP you're going to have to use to bring them back. That is what the necromancer, that's where the necromancer's drawback comes into play, you know. So basically, you'll be able to, like, say if you wanted to bring back a thief or a mage, it'll be like maybe 25% of your health. The more powerful the unit, the more health you have to use. And if you know, you don't have 25% health left, you could totally die by using your necromancy, which is crazy. The other thing is, I would give the necromancer the most powerful ability in Overwatch, the Mercy Res. So, of course, if you don't play Overwatch, what are you doing? Go play Overwatch. It's fun most of the time. I would say that to you. But the Mercy Res basically is where Mercy, one of the big healers in the game, is able to basically resurrect somebody who has died if she can get to the body in a certain amount of time. This will be something that the Necromancer will be able to do for allies. He can res allies. Now the thing is, this will take 50% of his health, and he won't be able to move for 2 turns. So basically, this is something where you're going to have to strategize. You're not going to be able to do those crazy reses like they do in Overwatch. Like, no, because you're going to be a sitting duck and you're going to die. And you can't res yourself because you're dead. So, yeah, like, so that will be interesting. I think if we had these classes in Fire Emblem, it'll be amazing. Now, will they come to Fire Emblem? Probably not. But I thought I was just spitballing ideas one day and decided to do this video. So put in some made-up classes that you would like to see in Fire Emblem down in the description. I like hearing about them, like talking to people about them. Comment, like, subscribe, you know, all that stuff. And one thing I'm gonna do, we're gonna have a Twitter poll, because I want to play an older Fire Emblem game. I'll probably be in January, because I got a lot of stuff planned for January, because next year is going to be a do or die year for the channel. I'm going to be on a big push for content next year. So I'm thinking about doing a Let's Play of an older Fire Emblem game. I'll have a Twitter poll. Check that out in the description. Like, comment, subscribe. And as always, folks, keep it real.